All right, welcome to Marlins After Dark. Because after all, no team keeps you up late at night like the Miami Marlins. I'm your host, Sean Millerick, and of course, this time of year, it's optimism keeping us awake late at night. It's that magical time of year. Spring training has arrived. Spring is here. All the players are in camp. And it's not just spring training that's here. Jeremiah Geiger is as well of Marlins IX. And we'll be talking through all the latest Marlins news, Teal, AJ Puck, thoughts on the new season, thoughts on the new rules for the new season. And at the end there, we'll unveil the number 30 on our list. We'll be counting down here on Marlins After Dark of the 30 best Marlins in our 30th anniversary season. But first, Jeremiah, how are you? And with spring having arrived, what's your do you have a favorite spring training memory from this time of year?
Well, as always, Sean, thanks for having me on. It's always an honor to come on and talk Marlins, talk baseball. As for spring training, personally, I've only gone to Cactus League games in Arizona growing up on the West Coast. So I went to quite a few spring training games over there. I think one of my favorite games was, I would just say it was the Brewers and the Royals, because it was actually my first spring training game. And just to be able to go there and have that experience of just seeing, pro baseball up so close and personal with the different players, like, oh, that's Lorenzo Cain right there. That's Eric Hosmer. Like, it was really cool. I was pretty young at the time. I was about 12 or so. So to see that in person and then to go to even more games later on, and I think I got a few foul balls. So I think that was really special. But spring's just a great opportunity for everybody of all ages to be able to experience baseball. And I definitely enjoyed my time there.
Absolutely. Obviously Marlins are grapefruit, but we won't hold that against you. My favorite spring memory, I think, is from the Cactus League. Also, it's first off, it's such a different kind of vibe out there. There's so many stadiums huddled close together. You can get to, as I'm sure you noticed, you can get to
totally.
like 8-10 different parks and like 40 minutes of each other. Florida's a little more spread out for that. Of course, the Marlins have a team right next door with the Cardinals. They share a facility. But my favorite memory was actually watching ex-Marlin Justin Bohr in Arizona a few years back when he had latched on with the Angels. They were playing the Cubs, I think, and my cousin's a big Cubs fan. I had gone out there with him to check out some teams, and Bohr is up to bat. I'm like, oh, whoa! Is this who he signed with? And that was the first I heard of it. And cousin, catches my reaction, like, well, what's this guy's story? Well, if he makes contact, it's gonna leave the yard.
Right.
There's two outcomes on this swing, and sure enough, it left the yard.
Yeah.
So saw one of those famous Justin Bohr dingers out there. So got to see an Ode Marlin doing good. But great time of year, and just a different vibe kind of too with like the fans there. If you see, and we don't get this as much at maybe all the games we'd like, and at Marlins Park, or just any baseball, Major League Baseball stadium, really during the season. Like if you go to a spring training game, you love baseball, and you're there.
Right.
You're there to work. You're there to scout. You're there to figure out what's going on for the next season. Get autographs. You don't go to a spring training game just because your friend of a friend has extra tickets, or something.
Right.
You're there. You're there to soak it up. And so it's a good time. But of course, the biggest news for the Marlins this year is that Teal is back. before spring training kicked off. What were your thoughts on that? Were you happy with the uniform choice, or
So first off, I remember a couple years ago, well, it was actually a few years back now, when the Marlins made their primary uniform change to the current colors they have now. I was really hoping to see the blue that they wear in spring training as a jersey they wear in the regular season. And unfortunately, I personally really like that jersey, but we never saw that come into play. But when you saw the throwbacks being incorporated into this season, I think it's awesome. I think it's great for the team history. As you got the jersey right there, it's a beautiful jersey. It's a beautiful color scheme. And what I think is important is that the current ownership, Bruce Sherman and whatnot, is they're reverting back to their winning ways. Is can we bring the old fans back? Can we bring all the fans that supported us when we won these 2 World Series and give them a taste of this history that is so important to Marlins fans and Marlins baseball in an attempt to bring championships back to South Florida and to the organization down the road. So it's a small gesture, but I mean, selfishly, I love the color scheme. I wish they'd go back to it permanently. But
Oh, me too. That's
yeah, but I think it's pretty cool.
yeah, or at least 50-50 split between that and the Sugar Kings jersey. Yeah, we could.
Oh, right.
I'd be fine with that in the ideal world.
Of course.
Yeah, I was happy. Definitely happy to see Teal return. Maybe we could have gone a little more classic. They have done that one before, but with how I think jersey laws work, I don't think they had a ton of options there. And of course, the part of me that just likes to flush money down the drain on baseball. And again,
Right.
I have this one, so I can't really justify buying the throwback this year if it's right there.
Yeah,
I'll get a new hat, and that'll be fun. But yeah, I was glad to see that. I was hoping it'd be tied to a Niner jersey number retirement too, but beggars can't be choosers. Definitely
right.
excited to have Teal back.
Yes,
and then around the same day that we found out about Teal, we found out that we were getting a new player, that we weren't done with the bullpen. That in fact, someone who was present in the building that day, and somewhat bitterly based on some news I think that dropped today, JJ Bleday shipped out for AJ Puck, one first-round draft pick for another. And so what was your reaction to that news? Do you consider the bullpen done now? Are you excited about the move? Do you miss JJ?
So I think it's a great trade for both teams. I think JJ, although he was only in Miami for part of last season, I honestly think he wasn't going to continue any continued success here in Miami because of so many different outfielders and just the struggles he had and a new manager coming in. It was almost like he was blocked from playing time. Looking up and down the roster, I couldn't justify starting JJ Bleday over, a guy like Brian De La Cruz just based on production. So I think it was time for him to move on, and going to the Athletics, I think, gives him a fresh start. He has talent. Obviously, he was a 4th overall pick a few years ago. And I'm happy that he'll get a chance to go to a rebuilding team and hopefully work out his struggles. On the other side, as a Marlins fan, getting AJ Puck, I think, is a very, very underrated move of this offseason. In college, Puck was a dominant left-hander for Florida, one of the best baseball programs in the country. He was a starter, and the A's moved him to the bullpen. But that allows him to throw harder. He throws upper 90s, reaching 98 with the fastball. Got a good breaking ball, and he's a lefty. So honestly, I think he can go into Miami and really fit into any inning, any situation. It's going to be interesting to see how Skip Schumacher uses him. If need be, he could transition into a middle relief guy, a closer, and he can spot start because he does have the ability to throw for distance. So I think it's a really exciting trade for Miami, and it automatically upgrades the bullpen a ton.
I'd agree. I think it's that flexibility that excites me the most because, you say he can spot start, but definitely he can still, possibly start at a high level, once he kind of goes through the Marlin system. One thing that jumped out to me when the news dropped, and this was as a part of, I believe, some fantasy baseball research or just hearing the name kicked around, was that at least when he was with the A's, there was talk that he was actually going to get a chance to start this year. That he had pushed back, said, well, I'm glad I kind of had a full season in the majors last year as part of the pen. That's all well and good, but I don't want to give up being a starter. And they were okay with that. Like, they hadn't made that move, he'd be contending for the number 5 spot in their rotation.
Right.
right now. So just kind of thought that was interesting, him going to a situation where obviously he's what on paper right now they're the Marlins' eighth or ninth best option,
Right.
as a starting pitcher, and that's not even a knock on him. And
No.
so I like that it gives them the flexibility down the line to if the Marlins have this season that they're hoping to have, if they are here to win and will push for the playoffs as Bruce Sherman announced today, and we'll get to in a little bit. That if that's a team that might give them a little more flexibility to move one of those pitchers after they dealt Pablo for Arias. You saw Kim say it would be very difficult, and correctly, it'd be
Right.
difficult to move another pitcher. Getting Puck in, it might give them a little more flexibility, to do that, to make one of those, blockbuster moves come deadline time if the Marlins find themselves needing another piece,
Right.
as opposed to having to, you know, sell off parts and retool for the, for the next season. So I like that. Another thing I'm really interested to see is if he uses his changeup more. That's the magic pitch for all Marlins pitchers under Mel Stottlemyre, and he's thrown his changeup less all three of his seasons, and barely threw it at all last year. I'm doing this number off the top of my head. I want to say maybe 0.2% of the time, like he barely threw
Wow.
it. Like it just registered on Fangraphs that he point of fact had a changeup. So I'll be curious to see if he pushes that another direction under Mel. And I guess they
And
can't all
what
throw changeups, but
and what a better pitching coach to come into a new organization and work with than Mel Stottlemyre. You know,
yeah,
like I think AJ Puck is excited. He's ready to go, and I think you're going to see a big season from him. I really do.
yeah, I definitely feel much more confident about the pen now with
Oh
that
yes.
kind of high upside arm in there.
Right.
For all the additions they've made, I think he's the one you probably feel most confident in. And there,
Yeah.
Matt
No, I'd
Barnes,
agree with
like
that.
he's so it's a coin toss if he's first half of 2021 or the rest of his career. Matt
Right.
Barnes, Dylan Floro, it's kind of a known quality. The what's Tanner Scott going to do? But Puck, I'm excited about.
And it's interesting. The last thing I'll say on the bullpen is the quality of the arms that the Marlins acquired. They all throw elite level heat. Like AJ Puck, absolute flamethrower. Matt Barnes throws hard. You know, dating back to last year, Connor Scott, he throws his fastball at 99. And then you have a guy like Dylan Floro who, is a low 90s, 94, 93 type guy. So the Marlins are going to come at you. Like after their starters, all the starters, Luzardo, Sandy, Eddie, they all throw gas. There's going to be no let up. It's all, can the bullpen develop their breaking balls and control? If they can do that and Mel can work out the technicalities with Puck and Barnes and get them back to their form, this team could be scary.
Well, look out! And I guess this could kind of connect to the pen. My Bruce Sherman addressed the media today, and alluded to the fact that he's definitely optimistic on the team's chances. But the soundbite that jumped out the most to me was him saying that we might not be done. That paraphrasing, if we're not done, but said we've had a good off season, and the off season might not be over. And also, I think Kim made a similar allusion to that as well. That something else could still happen, and that stood out to me. So I mean, I know what I think that probably means, but what do you take that to mean? If it's anything more than it's a good soundbite to say to the fans on the first day of a
Right.
of real spring training.
Well, see, hearing that from Bruce and the ownership, I really don't know what direction they're going to take to add to the major league roster. Is this something where they're going to try to add minor league depth? Is this something where they're going to add another piece to the bullpen, possibly? Maybe another right-hander. Personally, I've said it for weeks. I think that in order to feel really good about their chances this season, another premium bat would be nice. I don't see it happening, but it's an interesting soundbite because now we're all kind of at the doorstep, kind of going, all right, Bruce, like, all right, Kim, what are we doing here? Are we adding another guy? Because in credit to them, give credit, because they went out and got Luis Arias, and I personally didn't see that coming. I knew it should happen, but I didn't see them do it, and they did. They signed Barnes. They got Puck. They've gotten Jacob Amaya, who's got some real high upside. So I'm really excited to see as we head into spring training if there is going to be another big-time addition or just even another bullpen addition to feel good.
That's where if it's an addition to the MLB roster, then I
Right.
kind of think it's bullpen. That's where my mind immediately went to Corey Knebel or Archie Bradley or maybe Zach Britton, but mainly Knebel. I don't know if they're gonna. I don't think they'd go that many lefties. But just that would be the fix. We're just to really lock down this concept of having an elite bullpen with the elite rotation. They didn't have that last year. It was
not at all.
Like they said, we're going to bet the team's strength is pitching, but we're going to give up on the last 2 innings. I think they're just trying to eliminate doing that in 2023. And
right.
But I guess there's a couple. If it's really about anyone else that we had kicked around or you'd seen discussed on Twitter, a lot of those names have signed as other guys you'd want to bring aboard. And I guess there's a chance Yuli Gurriel can come to his senses and realize he should have taken the
that was
offer that was made to him. But other than that, I think it would be a reliever. But then, if it wasn't just a good soundbite, to say that we're not done and we're always listening, then I wondered if it meant a Jazz extension, because that would constitute as off-season not being done business, something you need to do before the season. So I kind of wonder if that's what they're trying to do, just to start the rumor mill going.
Right.
I can't think of anything that would fire up the fan base more for something that they should be trying to do anyway.
Right.
And moving in the direction of that doesn't cost assets, just capital, or player assets, just money, and it's not my money to spend. So that would be, I would love to see them do that. So that's what I hope it means.
You look at the Braves, and what do the Braves do? They sign their homegrown talent and to really team-friendly deals. We saw, obviously, Jazz came from Arizona, but he debuted in Miami, and he wants to be here. I think right now him and Sandy are the face of the franchise. So if you have the opportunity to lock him up, man, that is huge, not only for the prospects of winning, but just for the overall team culture, man. Like that's exciting.
I agree, but I would be my one fear of that is I feel like the Braves have pulled that trick off too many times for other players to see, and that just one of Jazz's greatest strengths is his confidence, right?
Right.
Like, this is a kid who's going to bet on himself, put himself out there, and I think he's going to wait for like the big payday. I would be very surprised if we heard that the Marlins signed him to some 6-7 years, $70 million dollar.
Right.
I don't think he's signing that. I think
he would.
It's 9 figures for Jazz, I think.
Yeah.
And then it's debatable whether or not, as much as we love him, has he earned that? Has he earned $100 million plus yet? And right. I think that might be the number that they'd have to.
And I think this year is going to really tell you a lot, because if he indeed moves to center field for the entirety of the 23 season, then if he performs well and he can stay healthy, which is the key, Jazz has not stayed healthy. If he can stay healthy, hit and play defense, okay, then 2023 offseason, we're talking about a major extension for Jazz. I think they wait,
which you might not afford at that point. I kind of agree with Peter Pratt, who's been saying if that happens, if we get the Gold Glove center field season, that
right.
So it's tough. It's a tough question, but I think that's what I think we're not done means. But
okay.
Hopefully it also means Corey Knebel or another reliever. Let's get all the relievers we can.
Stockpile.
Yes, but also for any general sense for how this season's going to go. What's your
little bit of predictions here?
No, just so I mean, do you we got we've heard a lot this week about just different mentality, different spirit, different vibe. Are you buying it?
Right.
Are you feeling the new
I am.
culture, or do
I
you?
am. I really am. I think this team believes they can win. You got a guy like Skip Schumacher who's leading your team, and if you remember from his playing days, Skip wasn't an MVP infielder year in and year out. He spent a lot of his time with the Reds. Um, and he was a scrappy player. He understands the game, understands his players. He's a young guy, energetic, and I truly think he's brought that energy to the ball club. You look at just off Twitter, you see different quotes by Jorge Soler and Avi Garcia and Jazz, and it really seems like they've bought into the culture. They want to be here and they want to win, and Avi put in the work. He had a terrible year last year. It was awful, but he slimmed down. He looks great. Soler wants that bounce back year so he can potentially make more in free agency if he opts out. I think these guys are motivated, and the key is the culture sustainable for the long run? I think it is, but only time tells.
And that's why I definitely am buying that the players believe it, that there's like a
Right.
different spark, different energy kicking the year off. And it's been banger after banger interview that Miami Mike Duff's been dropping. Jeremy Taché with these players, like you mentioned, Avi, talking about slimming down, just owning that. I screwed up my diet last season. That's great, and just people dedicating themselves to the work, doing the little things, and I'm excited to see it paying off, and also excited to see, what impact the new rules in baseball are going to have on the upcoming season. So if we can go back and let's start positive. There's a negative we want to hit on, but what new rule are you most excited about seeing? Like, do you think we'll have the best? Do you think it'll be fun to watch, or you think it'll have the best impact for the Marlins themselves?
So right off the top of the bat, I think the new rule that is going to be the most exciting to see, and for the Marlins perhaps the most beneficial, is the banning of the shift and the limitations of the shift. It just got too crazy. I'm just going to say it just got way too crazy with left-handed pull hitters, especially. The guy was playing halfway out in right field, robbing base hits after base hits. Guys, really good players like Corey Seager, who makes a living off pulling the ball and hitting it hard, would have countless base hits robbed. And I was just tired of seeing that it was a cheat. It was a cheat code. So I am excited to see the effects of that for the Marlins. You look at left-handed hitters such as Jazz, such as Jesus Sanchez, who can hit the ball hard, but Sanchez usually pulls it, and he was a victim of the shift quite a few times last year. I think that is a necessary rule change, and it makes baseball more pure, I guess. I don't, especially in high school or little league or, all levels of baseball, you really didn't see that for the first 100 plus years of the game that we all love.
Sure.
And then the analytics and data started kicking in, and you can't blame the teams for wanting to get a higher advantage, but I think it takes it back to, okay, you're second base, you play second base, shortstop plays short, and it's more of a baseball purist environment.
I agree. I think that's one thing with all these rules seem to be designed to pretty much make baseball look like it did in, I don't know, 2000, the early 2000s, or even a little later, like some in the aughts. We're going back to baseball in the aughts as a result of all this. With the shift, one thing that gives me some pause with that is the effect it could have on the pitchers. We've got a lot of guys who like to induce weak contact, get the ball on the ground. Sandy, chief among them. Now, is the reigning Cy Young winner, awesome enough to overcome that? Yes, of course, but still a little worried, particularly with how we've watered down our defensive infield strength. When we had a borderline Gold Glove candidate at short for all of, his perhaps offensive, woes, when the infield defense was stronger, I felt, I'd be a little more okay with this. But part of me thinks that, maybe this is the time we actually would want the Marlins defense at least to be able to shift
Yeah.
and anything to help those guys out there, just change it around a bunch of different positions. But the one I'm most excited to see is, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid some on the stolen bases. On there being just this really changing the running game and bringing that back to what we saw, in the early 2000s. Have lots of glory days, for the Marlins, fun players to watch. I think baseball is more exciting if people, and really not just on the Marlins, but other teams, if we've got people pushing for, 70, 60, stolen bases. And I think those are numbers that, you're going to see like Trey Turner or Acuna, going after. And at the Marlins side of things, Birdie, stolen base leader last time. I mean, with Birdie, we don't want to play enough to be the stolen base leader, right? But,
with all due respect,
with all due respect. But if he played 162, then I'd love to see Birdie get the franchise stolen base record. But instead, watching maybe him and Jazz combine, get the running game going with some of the other guys on the roster. That I'm really looking forward to see what Jazz could do with a full season, and I think it could. Puts that 30-30, 30-30, maybe 40-40.
Wow.
But just closer, more on the stolen base side than the home run side. But it puts those loftier numbers on the table a little more.
It does, for sure.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see what it does for the running game. 40-40 is not my official prediction. No official predictions for anyone until late March.
I got to start thinking about my official predictions coming.
Yeah, I'll have to edit that out. 30-30, folks.
30-30.
But all right, now what I want to, before we switch off and to close with our Marlins top 30 breakdown, all through the season of Marlins After Dark, we're going to be talking about a different player calculated through a rigorous, data-driven, the best of the analytics and sabermetrics. I totally didn't just come up with this on the spot one night on the couch. A formula to result in the 30 best players in Marlins history, and we're going to unveil number 30 tonight. But before we do that, an exciting new feature, we're going to put Jeremiah here through a game, and then we're going to play with, I hope, becomes the Twitter sensation of 2023. We're going to play Jeff or Not Jeff.
Okay.
Are you ready to play on there? Do you feel Niner? Do you know your Jeff?
Ooh, it was a little bit before my time, but I'm gonna give it a go.
Okay, so we're gonna spin here. We're gonna spin for you to pick a year. We'll see which Marlin you're going to be stacking Jeff against for where they led in various team categories.
Okay.
So let me get this very official wheel on the screen. And all right, are you ready to spin?
I am ready.
Okay, this would be great content for people listening on Spotify.
Hear the clicking.
Yes, it's very... Okay, 2004.
Okay, year after the World Series.
Yep. All right, so let me throw that up there. So 2004, Jeff's first full season back with the Marlins after that trade in 2003. So I'm going to ask you 5 questions. I'm going to see how you do.
Oh boy.
So, okay, 2004, more home runs at first. Haysop Choi or Jeff? Haysop or Jeff?
Ooh. I'm gonna go. You said Haysop Choi or Jeff for most homers in 2004.
Yes.
Okay.
With the Marlins.
I'm gonna go with the Marlins. I'm gonna go with Jeff.
All right, and no, I'm sorry. I need to get a buzzer for next week. But the Haysop Choi edged him out 15-14.
Yeah.
All right, next up, RBIs on the season. Who had more, Jeff Conine or Mike Lowell?
Mike Lowell or Jeff Conine? I'm going to go with Jeff. I think it's going to be Jeff. No?
Not
How many
Jeff.
did Lowell have?
85 for Lowell, 83 for Jeff.
I knew Conine had a lot that year, but I didn't know Mike had more.
Oh,
Okay.
good year for them both.
Yeah.
What about batting average? Higher batting average, Jeff Conine or Mike Redmond?
Oh
Bringing
man, I'm
all the
0 for
classic
2.
names into.
Yeah. Jeff hit really high that year. Shoot, man, if I go 0 for 3, I'm gonna be embarrassed. I'm rolling it. Third time's the charm. Conine.
Jeff. It is
Okay,
Jeff for
he
this
hit
one.
what, 300, something like that?
280.
280. Okay, it was up
280,
there.
and that one he definitely has some years farther back in history where he did do that. But yeah, 280 for that one. So very good, got that one. All right, doubles. Who had more doubles in 2004? Jeff Conine or Miguel Cabrera?
Ooh, Miggy was a doubles hitter his whole career, but Jeff could also hit. He had doubles power. He had gap power. I'm gonna go with Miggy. High 30s.
Jeff had 35. Miggy had 31.
I'm 1 for 4, man. This is not good.
All right. Well, coming down the stretch, we have and the last category for this is always going to be a little screwier. Who grounded into more double plays in 2004? The Alex Gonzalez or Jeff Conine?
Oh man. All right, give me more double plays in 2004. Alex Gonzalez, man, this is before my time. Didn't he play short?
He did.
He played short? Okay.
So they're grounded into more double plays.
Oh, right.
As a hitter. Yeah,
he
definitely turned many.
Yeah, he definitely turned a lot. Let's go with Alex. Alex hit into more double plays.
That is correct.
There we go.
Gonzo edged him out 17-15 in that inauspicious category. So
I don't remember if Alex had a lot of speed or not.
Not particularly.
Yeah, I think he was a little bit slow when it came to running.
Yeah, and so kind of the setup for that, just with then unfortunately, while Jeff is at the top in a positive sense of many of the Marlin leaderboards in franchise history, Jeff Conine is also the franchise leader for grounding into double plays.
Really?
But someone did worse than him in 2004.
He still got that one on Alex.
Okay, well now we're going to get to our top 30 reveal.
That was fun. I like that game. Good addition.
Sure. So we're going to make it a thing. It's going to take off. I'll probably flip this.
Yes, my 2 for 5 effort.
Well, you'll do better next time.
Yeah.
But thanks for playing, Jeff or not Jeff.
Jeff or not Jeff.
For the Marlins all-time top 30. And so this, you went into this. Player war with the Marlins was weighted for this. Their accolades, did they help the team win a championship or not? Did they win any significant major awards? And all of this went into the hopper. And then last measure was the eye test. Someone didn't quite make the cutoff list. Did that feel right? Did someone need to be moved up? And in a few cases, last couple of weeks, I did a little bit of a Twitter vote on this as well, and came to the conclusion that number 30 in franchise history is none other than Livan Hernandez. Coming up here, World Series MVP in 1997, pitched one of the greatest games in postseason history. When thanks to the magic of Eric Gregg, who made the strike zone he had that day, he would have made.
It was huge.
Eliezer Hernandez looked like Felix Hernandez. It was a big day for that. But have Livan at number 30. His your career war. Once really 97 was far and away his best season. Technically, 97 was the best season of his career. Really, entirely, he never had a lower ERA. It was his best WHIP. And then you're certainly winning a title, but just even aside from that, there was a lot of ways was his strongest major league season. Even though he went on to have this epic career. But just in Miami for 2 years, can't give him a ton of cumulative stats for things he achieved with the club. But he still, to this day, holds the single season record for complete games. As in 1998, he threw 9 complete games. Not sure if he had a shutout there, so there were always some runs on the board. Definitely didn't make the top 10 leaderboard when I was going through it for shutouts in franchise history. So some of those games were probably more just completion efforts than jams.
Right.
But still, hell of an accomplishment. And for my money, one of the records you're never going to see broken. I think that might just stand forever. I'm not sure Sandy's going to throw 10 complete games in a year, but I guess you never know. But we'll see. What are your thoughts on this? Do you have any Levon memories? Or surprised at this ranking?
So Levon, for me, he was only in Miami, like you said, a short time. He, after Miami, went to San Francisco and ate up a lot of innings over there. Never a spectacular starter statistically. But what he means to this ball club and this organization and the fan base, I think, is right off the bat why he's an automatic inclusion into the top 30 list, in any list, because he was a huge instrumental part in bringing the Marlins their first World Series and one of the most, classic World Series of all time against the Cleveland Indians at the time. Just his dominance in the playoffs and that World Series, winning World Series MVP, it truly was something special, and he is remembered for forever among Marlins fans for that postseason run. And
I love you, Miami. That's magic words.
And so, as someone that actually wasn't alive during that World Series run, but has watched highlights, of course, and of those 2 World Series runs. And to have Levon Hernandez be the ace of that staff and lead that team to the World Series trophy in the postseason, it's a huge accomplishment. It really is, no matter what he did statistically elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And came up huge that postseason, particularly once, Alex Fernandez went down. The headline for that rotation, you had Kevin Brown, Al Leiter, had thrown no hitters for the Marlins. Great. And then Fernandez was having perhaps the best season, just was worth every penny in free agency that season until he went down with a busted rotator cuff in the early round of the playoffs. And then Hernandez just slotted right into the rotation and just was dominant. 2 wins in the 2 wins in the World Series, big NLCS. And one of my favorite fun facts of him, he actually, I want to say, well after he left the Marlins, maybe 2004, 2005, it was one of those, the opening day for the Marlins, I think, was against the Giants. And it was 2 former World Series MVPs facing off against each other. Beckett for the Marlins and Hernandez with Marlins World Series MVPs pitching against each other. So that was a lot of fun. I remember seeing that. And unfortunately, he also would go on to become one of the bigger Marlin killers. He had a 14-13 career record with an ERA around 3.69.
Oh, wow.
Against Miami. So he was just, he kept going until huge career, 15-year career, I think. And most of it, he was always seemed to save some of his best stuff for facing against Miami. So went from I love you to Miami to I love playing you.
Miami. But for that 1 week, for the Marlins and Marlins history, he was the man. He was the guy, and that's something that everybody's always going to remember him for, and the Marlins organization.
Amen. And there he is on the list at number 30. Well, we'll reveal number 29 next week, and hopefully recap some of the first actual spring training game action. They're including Jazz's first couple games in center field. So I'll be very excited to dive into that next week. For me, I'm Sean Millerick, at Miami Sports Minute on Twitter. You can find me here on Marlins After Dark, and also find my work at Call of the Pen. Jeremiah, anything you want to sell to the listeners before we depart?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter as well at Jeremiah Geiger too. I have a podcast as well, Marlins IX, Marlins and Roman numeral 9. I'm going to be I'm trying to do a podcast every week. Took a little bit of a break the last few weeks, but going to get back into it this week and have guys like Sean come in and talk fish, talk everything baseball. And just thank you, Sean, for having me on the show. I love being on Marlins After Dark. It's a great pod you got going, great stream and everything. So thank you again.
Oh, hey, no, happy to have you and appreciate it. And yeah, we're going to work on getting mine going weekly as well. This is what spring training is for.
Exactly. It's
Figuring stuff
fine-tuning
out, get
everything.
into routine. Yeah. So Marlins are working on finer points where us Potters are working on it as well.
There we
So,
go.
all right. We'll catch you next week on Marlins After Dark.